Hi everyone. So in this video we're going to talk about how would I have traded Bondada Engineering. Alright, so a few days back I received this query which you can see on my screen, and it says, hi sir, please advise on Bondada, holding since a long time, no returns, excellent results, only reasons to hold so doing, but taking too long to bounce back and show above 500. Now, uh, the question is, how would I trade this? And one of the ways I look at trading it would have been VCP, because the VCP is what I trade, or volatility contraction pattern. For those of you who do not know that, typically it forms a base, and then that's when you enter. The question is where it forms a base, when to enter. So today in this video, I would basically take you through the exact steps, the precise entry points and precise exit points for you to understand, saying that okay, if I were to trade a Bondada Engineering, then where it would be that I would actually start off with. Okay, so let's take it right from the start, because Bondada Engineering is a stock that I did trade, but I traded it using a different system. However, if I were to trade it using a VCP model, then this is how it would show up. Okay, we're just going to stick to the rules, traditional rules of VCP. No, no modification version or anything of that sort. So just as simple as traditional VCP. So let's just go back directly to the IPO stage. So Bondada Engineering was listed in on 30th August 2023, and the first buy that would happen for Bondada Engineering would have been on this particular date, right? On 10th October 2023, it would have happened at exactly this point, which is the high of this, which is 36.6. So I'm just going to draw this, because this is a base, so it would ideally happen over here. So this would have been the first buy. So typically what happens is I tend to look at stocks, especially when it comes to IPO. I have seen that most of the IPO bases, specifically VCP bases, they tend to form a contraction which is anywhere between 5 to 10%, sometimes even 11%, with 11% SL. Okay, SL in the sense stop loss. So typically my first buy would somewhere be over here. So you can see it is, in this case, it is taking a 7.65% stop loss. So this is the base that is formed, right? My second buy, and so this will be the place where I will buy. So this one is at what price? It is at 36.6. So I would put in amounts here, right? But I would cap my stop loss when I'm trading IPO VCP, because it is above my uh, typical percentage of stop loss, right? So if you see here, it is 7.65. I generally trade between less than 5 or less than 6. Max to max is 6. Beyond that, I do not trade. Beyond that, I look at, okay, how much would be my stop loss? So the calculation goes in this way. So my typical way of calculation is saying that okay, if I'm putting if the max loss is 6,000, so which means that 6%, then let's say my stop loss is at 5.45%. If this is the case, that I get as a technical stop loss, like when I do this drawing, when I get this particular um, percentage, then I would go blindly saying, okay, I'm going to put in 1 lakh, and I know that okay, if I were to basically get a loss, it would be 5.45%, no problem. But when I look at a trade like this, right, 7.65%, then I have to make sure that the 7.65% of whatever I put is not more than, more than an X amount. So for example, I would cap my amount to 5,000. Okay, so if you see over here, it says it is 2.80 minus 2.80. I don't know if you're able to see it clearly, but it says minus 2.80, which means that I will be losing minus 2.80 if it goes below this. So I take this value, which is 2.80, and I divide that by 5,000. So I do 5,000 divided by 2.80. Whatever value I get, that will be the number of shares I trade. Okay, so that is how I calculate, saying how many shares I trade, because the max loss I want to take on this trade is 5,000. Okay, just to give an example, saying that if my 5%, whatever I would get at 5%, that is what I would have traded, right? So that is how I manage my risk. I keep it very low. This is max loss on 1 lakh is 5,000. So in that way, in this scenario, especially with IPO bases, IPO VCPs, this is what I've noticed. Most Indian IPO VCPs that I have taken, they typically have that kind of a range. So sometimes what I do is I trade VCPs on hourly basis. So let's anyway get back to Bondada Engineering. Now, how would I trade this? How would I basically decide, okay, when to enter again? Now, in order to do this, I put a 50-day moving average, 150-day and 200-day. This is the traditional approach. So I put this, and there is this close up, which is a 20-day, or sorry, I think this is a 20-day or a 10-day moving average as well. You can see over here, this is called a multiple moving average thing, and yeah, let me just remove it so that it does not create confusion. So if you see over here, the stock shoots up very fast, okay, and it's just holding it. It comes up until here. My next entry, or my pyramid entry, would have been at this point. So I would have pyramided at this point. Okay, this would be my pyramid entry on 8th of Jan, and it would be at 85.2. So I would pyramid it over here. So I would do 85.2. This would be my pyramid. And if you notice over here, what is the max stop loss? Because my max stop loss will always be 5,000 on a lakh, right? So my max stop loss in this case would be around, again it says 7.27, so again I will basically go with 5,000 on a 1 lakh, so which is 5%. Okay, I will not do it as 7.27, but only thing is, in this case here I will divide it by 6.2. So yes, number of quantity, the amount of quantity will be lesser, but the point is we stick to the system. Now at any point of time, you will notice that if it goes below this green line and it breaks that low of that candle that goes below the green line, is when I exit. So I'm going to continue to hold it. And here, if you see, there has been another base formation, right? So this is another base formation here. I would again buy on this date, which is over here. So what is this? This is on 4th of April 2024. I would buy it again at 185.95. So I'm just going to mark that again. So I would buy it at 185.95. So again, this formed a base like this. So I would buy it over here. And then again, we keep going up. So you can see over here, again, it kind of formed a base. So this is another base again. So you could possibly buy it over in this point. Right, so in this case it did not allow you to, so it might have triggered here itself 376.95 and 377.8. So it would have triggered on breaking at this point. So the entry would have been at 376.95. Yeah. So you can see over here that it did a base and we were able to basically again get in at 376.95. Next it went on going further, right? And it again basically went over here. Here in this case, because it is forming a lower low, you wouldn't actually get into any trade. Here it became a sudden spike, again no trade at all, because there was no formation of a base. This itself becomes a big base, so there is no entry over here. And here, if you notice that it's gone below this green, it opened below this green line, but it did not break this, right? The only breaking of this green line happened at this point, which is on 11th of September 2024, and it broke the low of the candle that broke the green line. So I would exit completely over here, this point, right? So the entry exit would be clear cut at 591.10. That would be a clean exit, right? There is nothing to talk over here. This is a direct exit at 591.1. I'm out of the trade and I wait for the next trade or next position. So if you notice, and after that, if you notice, it has gone, once it has broken this one, this line, it is gone down, it again came up, it went sideways. Some of them would possibly even trade this, like I would have probably even tried to trade this as well, but then it would have got exited, right? So if you see over here, what would be the max loss? Let's look. So you can see over here, the max loss is 14%. I would not trade this when it is 14%, because this is too steep, so I would not really trade it. And then after that, over here also it was a jump. There was no place to trade. It would have been a lot more steeper. So if you see over here, even if I would try to trade at this particular small base formation, let's see whether how much would it be. So you can see, yeah, so this is possible to trade. You could trade it, but the stop loss is too close. And in case you would have traded it, or I would have traded it, I would have been out over here. I would have lost that 6.25%. But otherwise, you can see the kind of move that it actually generated, right? So you can see over here, my first initial purchase, or initial purchase gave what return, right? So you can see over here, it gave a return of 1491.22%. Okay, the first unit. All right, my second unit, or the second purchase, that gave a return of 580%, right? And my third purchase gave a return of 211%. My fourth purchase gave a return of 53%, and the last one that happened over here would have lost you 6%. Okay, so this is basically how the total calculation is. So if you were to trade like this, then this is how it would proceed, and this is how I would actually trade Bondada Engineering. Now the question is, now coming to the question that he says, saying that okay, it has excellent results, and only reason, I mean, he's actually invested in this. Now the point is, the way I look at trading is, I don't look at any stock that is below below the 200-day moving average. Any stock that is below the 200-day moving average, or if the 200-day moving average, so the red line that you see on my screen is 200-day moving average. This one, if it's below this, I will never take a trade. Okay, because of the simple fact, it is a lesson from Stan Weinstein. He does not trade anything below the 200-day moving average. I don't do shorts. If I were to do a short, that shorting would have happened somewhere over here at this point, because the market went into stage 4. I'll give you a quick understanding of stages. Right now, it directly went into stage 2. So this is stage 2. I'll just show it to you. A quick way to explain to you what are stages. Stages is, this is stage 2, uptrend market. This is stage 3. So you have stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, which is going down, and now it might be forming another stage 1. Okay, or if it breaks this low of this below point, then it is forming a stage, it is a stage 4 continuation. If it breaks, if this price breaks the low of this one, then it is still a stage 4, and we are in a very long bearish market. But if it starts going upwards over here, and it starts forming a cup over here, then it is again gone back into stage 2. when the stage 2 happens, this particular 200-day moving average is going to turn upwards. So we wait for the stock to turn upwards, the broader um, you know the broader moving average to start turning upwards, and then I generally look at making a decision on whether to buy the stock or not buy the stock. Otherwise, it's there's absolutely no decision at all. So if you see over here, let's look at understanding, saying what would have been the percentages. In this case, the percentage was again 9.52%. So I would trade it completely with caution. So max loss would have been 5%. Let's see over here, 8.36%. So you can see over here in all of these trades, if it is basically doing the same VCP pattern, but if it's doing it a higher percentage, I would take the trade whichever is, whatever is based on my risk factor, which is I would put a cap on it, saying that okay, I want to lose a max of 5,000 per trade, but the upside is amazing, right? So you can see how the upside is. This is the 50-day moving average. It never got broke over the past, I think, from right from the time 9th October 2023 till 10th September 2024. In 1 year, it went up more than 1,400%, which is great, right? So this is a super stock, you can say. But how I have just shown you how to buy, or how would I buy the stock, and I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have more questions on, you want to analyze a different stock, then I could do another video just like this. Thank you so much, and see you next time.